I talk a lot about this. It's managing expectations.
Yeah. It's just going to take a lot.
It's going to take time, and nothing happens overnight. And the whole point is to be seen and heard and accepted.
But it sounds like there's a lot of inconsistency here. You know, you shared that Miguel, he had tried, you know, to have sex with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you wanted. You wanted to build this connection. If you're like, I don't want to have sex with you, how did that switch to where you felt comfortable?
We've been getting to know each other, asking questions. I feel so connected to him. He makes me feel comfortable and confident. And if I wasn't having that connection with him, we wouldn't have had sex.
And I just wanted to make sure that it was your decision and you weren't being pressured or anything like that.
No.
Like, now I'm starting to get triggered from things that I've been through, and I'm like, I don't want her to feel like
No.
just going through like what I went through, and I didn't want you to go through that as well.
Oh, no. I can reassure you.
Okay.
It was very mutual. He's my husband. It was beautiful.
But it's still so soon, and I know we're wearing these rings, but giving yourself to someone like that, that's just something so precious. I've been in situations to where I felt like I had to have sex to keep my partner happy, and I didn't know what would happen if I didn't do it. So I didn't want Lindy to feel that.
I hear you, but I also grew up with so much judgment and shame around sex that all I want from you guys is support, because it was my decision. It was our decision, and I'm happy about it. It's something beautiful, and it was amazing.
Good.
I'm so happy you're looking out for me, and I will come to you crying. It's gonna come. It's gonna happen. But right now, this is not. Yeah. It's not it.
All right. So we're back. And I kind of talked about some stuff on the last video, so I don't think this one is going to be as long. And so they started out this episode 6, what Nate calls spilling the tea. And I talked about that, last time. So I'm getting them kind of mixed in, which is fine. And so the guys talk to the guys, girls, and I actually thought they really kind of mirrored, each other. I like the way that they did the split between, so if Miguel is talking and saying what he had to say, then they showed Lindy, talking to the girls, and vice versa, with the couples. And I thought that they mirrored, each other and what they had to say. So Miguel was confused about why Justin is still celibate when he has already confessed his love, to his wife. And I thought that was a good question. So Justin said that he wanted to make sure that they were vibing and that it just happened naturally. It's a seamless transition. It's nothing that he wants in his head, that he's planning and having all this hype, around. He just wants it to be real easy and natural. And so Nate says that he thinks that Justin is scared of getting caught up in the sex and he doesn't want to lose his head, because he wants to be balanced. He wants to enjoy his wife sexually and intimately, but then he also wants to be able to temper that and not get so caught up in that he loses, himself. And so Ben, said that he and Morgan are cuddling and that, he's cool with where they are, in their intimacy. And Morgan, seconded that. And she's just not at that point where she's ready. So, like I said, in the other video, Lindy and Miguel, they said that they had sex, with each other. And the video that I started with really kind of centers around that conversation. And Saved by the Mariachis is Stasia getting ready to jump knee deep into Miguel at the couple's dinner, and it's centered around this conversation. So that's another reason why I wanted to put that, in the front, of the video. And now we're going to go and start talking about the couples for a little bit before we go back to the group. And one thing I liked in here is that Alexis, she really is all about accountability. And with this whole thing with Christian and Mitch, I when she was talking, I wish she had been there for Katina last season, because nobody was there for Katina. Nobody was standing up to telling him, you know, what he was doing. It was like they were, congratulating him, for being a dickhead. And that was crazy. That was crazy to me. She needed an advocate, and she didn't have it. And I think, Alexis would have been really good to have there. So let's look at Ben and Morgan. So they're at dinner, and this is after the group session. And so according to Morgan, she thinks that a lot of the couples are really bonding, intimately. And so Ben was like, well, when do you think that, we're going to say the I love yous and have that level? And she was really stumped. She didn't have an answer, for that. And so I thought that her conversation was more filler than substance at that point. But she did say that for her, she needs for him to really, really think about what he's going to say before it comes out of his mouth. Because the words that he say are going to affect how she responds to him in the future, in that moment and in the future. Because she said that even if you don't mean to be malicious, if you're not being careful about how you communicate with me, it's going to affect me in a negative way. And so we didn't know this then, but I looked on Ben's face, and there was some concern. And so in the confessionals, I think he said that night that she went and confessed to him that she hadn't finished a class. She needed a class in order to be able to get her degree in full. And that was confusing to him. So instead of him talking about it with her, he kind of retreated. And then he went and talked to Justin about it instead of talking to her. And then he said that he felt like Justin might have said something to Alexis. So her thing was, that was something that she really kind of wanted to keep between them. And then for him to go out and immediately talk about it after they had discussed that they wouldn't was a trigger, for her. And she said that, it broke her trust. And I get that. When you're having a discussion, with a person who, like a doctor patient, friend, or husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, these are conversations that need to be heard and understood and respected. So if somebody goes out and disrespects what was discussed, then there's an issue, because it's like, well, why are we taking all this time to talk to each other and communicate when you're just going to go 5 minutes after the conversation is over and go do something exactly the opposite of what we agreed upon? Yeah, I would have a problem, with that, as well. So I thought that was a well-founded concern, for Morgan, to have about her relationship. But she says that, she's still checked in, and she's going to try and learn how to forgive a person, even, when they've hurt her and when the trust has been compromised. So that's a big lesson to learn coming out of being single into a marriage. And so, said that. And she, talked about her lack of relationship with her parent and with her dad. Her mom, she and her mom are cool, but she and her dad are not. And so Ben, he comes from a close family. He said that's concerning, for him, because he's a family-oriented, person. He also reiterated to her that he needs to have all the information up front that's going on with Morgan, and not have any, little pockets of bombs, being dispersed throughout. He said he told the experts everything up front. He expects, her to be up front, and what she's saying. And it concerns him about her student debt, because we talked about Ben and money. So he and money are very closely tied to one another. And he also was concerned because she wants to go to nurse practitioner school. So he wants to have a family. And he doesn't understand how those two are going to be able to coincide, with one another. Those two goals that they have. And Morgan is, I said that she feels like her trust, has been broken. So we're going to look at Nate and Stasia. They had a picnic date right in front of the hotel, sitting up under a teepee, it's like a background. The teepee is the background for the little date. And so both of them hate bugs, which I thought was cute. And Nate is really apprehensive about what's going to happen, after the honeymoon. And Stasia, is really reserved. She's trying to figure out who Nate is. Why is he there? Is he there for her because of her? Or is he there because of her because of the idea of her? So she's trying to meander those waters and still trying to make herself available for intimacy and connectivity, with him. Nate was disappointed. He doesn't see. He thinks that he hasn't done anything to have her question him at that level. And he doesn't see himself. Like, he doesn't remember, just picking his side of the bed. He doesn't remember what he did at the ATV, date, and the Instagram things, that he's doing. So he sees himself as just being himself, cool, but he doesn't perceive that his actions may be more self-centered instead of couple-centered. And she needs for him to be couple-centered. And so that's going to be, interesting to see where they go ahead in the season. And so she doesn't see how his actions have... Okay, I said that. And so they were vulnerable, with each other. After the couple's dinner, they were talking and really sharing where she felt like she was and things that she's still concerned about. And he, it was interesting. It was interesting, his responses, to her. But she received his conversation well. So I'm just going to put any apprehension that I may see in their conversation, at that point on the back burner. And so we're looking at Alexis and Justin. They were actually on this kind of like catamaran raft kind of thing. And then they were sitting on it and they were having, their discussion about what home after the honeymoon, was going to look like. And it was really cute. They were vibing, agreeing with each other, understood, what the other person was saying. And then all of a sudden, a strong wind kind of blew the little raft thing, up. And Justin jumped up and made sure that, he caught it so that it didn't, negatively affect her. I thought that was a cute moment. He was like, okay, see, so this, 6'8" thing I got, whatever he is. Is he 6'8"? He's 6 something. He's past 6'5". Okay, so, yeah, he said, okay, this is what the tall, people can bring to the table. I thought that was cute. And so, I thought that they're after a couple dinner, and they were back in the hotel. They were good. He kind of messed with her about saying I love you, at the table. And they have this conversation. They have this love talk that they do. She says, and he receives, and he says, and she receives. So I thought that was really cute. They talked about their concern for Ben, because with Morgan and Ben, when Morgan was at the couple's dinner, she was talking, and she was saying that because the pandemic really did something to nurses and our medical, professionals. It was a shift, and for her, coming home after having dealt with everything, at the hospital with COVID, she really used her alone time to decompress. So she doesn't know how that's going to fit into, having to come back home and be available to someone when she's just used to shutting everything down and then not having to worry about taking care of anybody until she goes back to work. So in her conversation, Justin and Alexis felt like she didn't have any vision of where Ben was going to be able to fit into that part of her lifestyle so that they could be, successful. And Ben asked the same question, and some of the other people, around the table, also had, similar concerns. And so we're going to have to just see, how Morgan does. And now that Ben has gone outside of their marriage and talked about things that she wanted to keep in their marriage, this is going to be interesting, as well. So he and Justin have beta tendencies and their wives have alpha tendencies. So they're compatible in that way. And it's just going to be interesting to see how they both are going to navigate, these situations. What else did I have? So Alexis and Christian, they sit down and they have a talk. And so Alexis tells Christian that she's just going to have to take Mitch in small doses. Take the small wins, let them accumulate so that she can look at the bigger picture and see, and let that help her see, the real direction that they're going in. And Christian said that she feels like she's on eggshells and she doesn't know how she's going to be able to keep this balance that she has going on with Mitch, and that she hopes that they move to a point where she doesn't feel like where she is now, apprehensive and just kind of unsure and, kind of topsy, turvy, in her emotions. And so then Trey and Ben, they are playing basketball, together, and then they sit and talk, and Ben tells Justin about the conversation he and Morgan had about him disclosing her information. And Justin, asks Ben, some questions to give him thought about where he thinks, he and Morgan, are going to be able to go. And then they go to the girls, and they are talking. And then Morgan is telling them that Ben is concerned about her student loans and the classes, that she's got, and, the stuff that she wants to do, and he broke trust. And Lindy really identified with that because she has student loans and she's not working full time, and Miguel is expecting her to be able to pay off the debt without him having to pay, for it. And there's that little anxiety, about that. So they really were able to be commiserate, on that subject. And then it goes to the clip, that I showed y'all at the beginning. And then Lindy, after Stasia voiced her concerns, she voiced concerns to Stasia about Nate and how he's just, into himself, into his Instagram. And Stasia acknowledged that, yeah, she is checking him out. She's checking him out. So, did we do all of the couples? Christian and Mitch? Okay, so let's do Christian and Mitch. Their date is her on the beach watching him surf, and her just really kicking back and enjoying the day and the weather and her ambiance and surroundings, which I thought was cool. And she said again that she thinks that they're getting closer, and she's looking forward to the post-honeymoon. So, again, with Miguel and Lindy, their date was kayaking on the beach. Miguel says that he thought that they did really well, to communicated well together, because he's seen couples who can't get it together, and it's broken up, relationships, because they're not communicating and they're not, working with each other. So it causes a shift, and that's kind of crazy. But then they start talking about their relationship. Lindy, she wants to vomit out everything, talk about her anxieties, talk about her concerns, let him know where she is, and bringing all of her stuff. And he's not like that. He's more reserved, and he thinks that she brings a lot more than is necessary. So he wants to be able to have her just give pieces. Don't just vomit it all out there. Just do it as the situation, warrants. And then, so in his mind, he says that he's going to be present for these whole 2 months. He's going to throw everything at this relationship. And then after 2 months, he wants to see kind of like where he is. So time he said that, there was like this look on her face. And she told him her concerns is like, it may be longer than 2 months. So if you just have your eyes fixed on 2 months, and I'm not there. I'm not there. There's 2 months is just going to tell our story. So they have that, kind of stickiness. And then at the couples dinner, it was brought up again. And, I think that started Stasia to start to have her anxiety when she was listening to his conversation, about that. And that is what triggered her to be able to start to go in on him, before the mariachis, showed up. And so when they were talking together post-dinner, she was communicating with Miguel. And Miguel was like, yeah, girl, you worry too much. And she was like, yeah, I understand. You're right. And so they got ready, to go to bed. And she made sure that she told Miguel that she wants him to make sure that he's communicating with her about where he is, throughout, because she doesn't want to be blindsided, at the decision day. And she doesn't want to be more into him than where he is, with her. And he said that he really wants her to make sure that she is being authentic. Be her authentic self, whether he likes her ultimately or not. And don't try to be something that she thinks that he, wants. And so at the dinner, at the dinner for the last night, so the next episode, everybody's going to be going back to San Diego. And so I'm just going to kind of go, Alexis, let everybody know that she loved Justin, which I thought was really cute, the way that she did it. Sasha says that she knows that she has to reimagine her work and home life so that she's not so focused on work that she's not putting in the effort and energy into, her marriage. And so, again, Christian and Mitch both looking forward to after the honeymoon. And that's about it. That is about it. So I haven't been able to watch the episode tonight because I watch it on the Lifetime app. I don't watch it on cable, television. And it still hasn't shown up for me to review it, because then my review would actually be longer. So I hope that you guys are being patient, with me. Thank you for your time and attention. And until the next video.